Hi, everybody. Monday on Astral Oracles. Moving stock energy is what we're looking into in this video, and that is hopefully somewhat self-explanatory. But consider how we are conduits of energy. That's a point I keep returning to, understanding that the human vessel is not this kind of idiosyncrasy generating machine that has a lot of unique impulses and ideas it generates from itself, but it's rather a conduit of all kinds of codes and energy configurations that run through us. And in that sense, magic arises from our ability to work these conduit systems, to set up ways in which we want energy to flow, and that can be helpful in a lot of ways. There seems to be the signature of well-being. There's something deeply pleasant with conducting energy in ways where it seems as if the flow is moving through us, and it's not moving up against block, and it's not being resisted. And that is power, like this electricity, this ability to conduct current, is in many ways the ability to wield power, to let force move in the ways that it's wanting to move. But what happens to us is that once we tap into a pattern that's effective for us, we just establish that as the primary conduit, and then we rarely tend to update it or rework it unless there is something occasioning it, which is usually a problem with its ability to conduct energy. And what I mean by that is on the identity level, that every time we figure out, oh, this works for me, we have a tendency to repeat that behavior and make it an unconscious pattern until it doesn't work for us anymore. And that can be in, yeah, I think you can make up examples that whatever pattern it is that you've sort of instated in your life, that you'll all of a sudden figure out that this actually used to do me a lot of good, and now it's become this kind of straitjacket thing that I don't really know how to extract myself from. And that's then, of course, when the energy is then often very uncomfortably pushing us into an awareness and to updating and reconfiguring our systems and our conduits. But it, of course, also works on a societal level, and where these energies that become stuck often result in concentrations of power, of influence, or of ideas in ways that seem very stale, unfortunate, and immovable. And that seems to me to be a lot of what is being cleared out in the general human collective, that there's a lot of patterns playing out around the globe of sort of more antiquated power politics, or domination games, or codes of fear and anger that's being stirred in people, and that seems to be something that's playing out because it is fairly stale, and it's of course interesting to note, because the USA is such a like, it is sort of the main body of a cultural radiation, for better or worse, in this our global reality of the 21st century, that awareness where the whole world is sort of preoccupied with what takes place in the US, and what of course is very clear for people in the US is that both both tribes that are going to the polls here in November probably feel like they have some fairly antiquated candidates on offer to vote for. And I can't help but note that ever since 2016, then the presidential candidates in the final rounds have been people uh, who we were generally possibly a bit sick of even ever since the early 90s, right? So it really is that feeling of just why can't these patterns die off and be replaced with something? And that's of course um, a kind of side effect of the massive success that the US has had as a political historical project ever since the American Revolution, where it's in general with with ups and downs and the Civil War and stuff, but in general, like it's worked out very good for America, and therefore like the need to update those patterns and get into a sort of a forced restoration from the outside hasn't really been that uh, present. Urgent, and it does seem that right now there is a kind of let's say like this rage this rage that seems fairly ubiquitous in sort of the general societal mood over there, like that sense of like things really need to be different than they are, and that's of course kind of that sort of dislocated awakening energy that doesn't know where it wants to flow, but it wants to tear things down and then establish some new and better, more helpful conduits that energy can flow through. So I think it'll be very interesting, of course, for the rest of the decade to see how like global political reality changes, and let's let's stay positive and optimistic on that note, shall we? So with that, I'll step aside and let Archangel Michael talk, and let's see what he can teach us about working with stuck energy in our systems. Much love, guys. Radiant love. It moves out from the center of being and emanates out to these far reaches of existence. Be not afraid, be blessed, and know that this day light shines upon you that clears your path ahead. I am the Archangel Michael, and as champion of the light, I come forward to show you how to release, guide, and protect the light as it flows within you. Well, so our companion here, the vessel, lending his voice to this message, he was pointing to energy as a force that flows through everything. but it doesn't simply flow through. It also pulls. Light is gravitational. And so a more subtle version of light that permeates the universe is not only the electromagnetic radiation of star bodies that gives off sunlight, primarily in this sector, but starlight. Well, another subtle permeation of light throughout existence is the light of awareness, the light of intelligence, the light of spirit. And spirit is called forward and called home. So it is this radiance of love that is a beacon from what is to you a beyond, that calls you to move closer and closer towards the center of the divine unity. And as you move closer to this, you are pulled, called, attracted towards this union. So there is a gravity within you that actually pulls you out of the gravity around you. What I'm playing with here is the presence of two forces that are not in opposition, but complement each other. And yet they create tension within the system that you are. So one is this pull of the cosmos, centering you, focusing you, putting you down, allowing you to compress towards a form. But there is this light within also releasing itself through this form, animating it, bringing it through these motions of movement, of creation, of life lived, that calls to a cessation of matter, to a cessation of body and breath, to an absorption into the divine light. And so this density of form, it lets the energy flow through it, and thereby the universe attains complexity. And this light, universal, that calls everything, that brings it into balance, restores and recycles what is disconnected from this pull of the light. This brings creation into unity. One cannot exist without the other. And yet, you are, as spiritual beings, often more identified with the pull of the light, the sense of destiny, perhaps even of providence that pulls you, rather than in these stale structures of oppressive condensation. And so what we sense is also hiding itself here in the heart of our friend, the channel, the vessel, is a sense that this world in its totality is a kind of prism pattern rather than the prism reflecting light. It is the prism that does not let light in, the cell that forces you to sit and languor, pining for this light that you see only as the distant, dim gleam pouring out through the beams up ahead. It is as if light leaves you when you are in this reality. It is as if you are stuck in this realm of incarceration where dense and dark patterns that seek to perpetuate themselves by devouring the light that it sees around it. It is as if the reins of this world have been given over to these forces, that the archons, the rulers of this sublunar realm, this home of yours, that they themselves are wardens of energy, and they do not allow for the light to grow. Then hear this and understand why you have called me forward this day, why you have summoned me. The light could not triumph and become aware of itself as the principle that illuminates matter unless it first felt held back, stuck, dimmed. There is no way to move towards the victory of the light without diving in to the possible defeat to darkness. So know that when you are feeling that the light is encumbered, that to be in the world one must surrender it to patterns of darkness. Know that these patterns of darkness are being set aside, they are being illuminated, and so when they grow too stale, they can no longer be penetrated or animated by the light, but they become illuminated, and so their dense, dark structures are seen and dissolved by the light that surrounds them. And so just as you know, as sunlight, starlight, electromagnetic radiation, it has the ability to break down the old, make decay a rapid process, and pave the way for new, vital ways of decomposition and heightened growth. So you are also aware that when this light breaks down something definitively in your reality, there is an opening to a reality that is different. And this may be due to the influx of light that comes about in this process. It may be hazy for you. You may be blinded by the light. New shapes are hard to make out, as these shapes seem to be made not of darkness, contrasting and shutting out of light, but conduits of light, brightness within brightness. Vital energy flows within the vital energy flow of the all. So energy always moves, and restoration always comes about. There is a victory of the light every morning, and there is an acceptance of the balance and the flows of nature every night. Accept what is, allow what is coming to be, and in your becoming, allow the past, its role, its value in shaping you, in pointing to where light needs to flow. Sending you love, dear human beings, transmitting the benevolence, the benedictions, the blessings, and the gratitude for your being from the heavens and down to you. Farewell, dear human beings, says I, the Archangel Michael. Farewell.